It's 6:30, so I will call the Ashland Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, May 21st to order with Pledge of Allegiance. Oops. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Lee Sharp.
Here.
Kathleen DeWolf. Here. Carol Lamos.
Here.
Fran Newton. Here. Are there any public comments? I didn't see anything on the signature, on the agenda. Okay. I think we'll postpone the approval of minutes until after Mike McNally has a chance to present, so he doesn't have to hang around for the whole meeting. Again, you're welcome to stay, so I'd like to introduce Mike McNally. He's going to give us an update on the TAP proposal.
So what I won't do is go through the whole presentation like I did last week, because
Okay.
you probably don't want to hear it again.
Okay,
I don't really want to say it again unless you want to hear it.
okay, no, that's
But
fine.
basically, we had a few comments last time about things that you wanted to change. So
Yep.
this end, I think we showed the property line coming out this way, so the sidewalk went around this location.
Yep.
And I think the chief made a good comment about this.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Makes a lot of sense to do that. The only concern I have about that is I have a sort of mid-block crosswalk very close to a stop sign, which is a little bit unusual.
Okay,
It's possible, it's like, I guess, even though it's not at a stop sign, so you put basically a crosswalk signs and things like that, so if
Yeah.
you're coming around the corner.
yeah,
I'm thinking that you may get a comment from DOT thinking that that's not the best way to go, because
okay,
it's so close to the stop bar. Not sure about that, but
okay,
I think it's a relatively low volume road, but if we end up, like we talked about last week, taking the driveway to the gas station and maybe closing that and then asking to use this instead, that'll become much higher volume, so.
okay,
So I think that's still a work in progress. The idea of getting the sidewalk back from that corner, definitely something you want to do.
Yeah.
Agree with that. How this ultimate configuration works out, I have to work with DOT on that and see how that comes out.
Can I ask a question about that, Mike?
Absolutely.
How would you close their driveway? How would you go about that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean-
This is this red line
Yeah.
would be a curb line. So, and the only way that works to do that, and the problem with this is you have this driveway right here, and you have this roadway right here, so you have two of them converging at one location. And as we talked about last week, coming off of here, just driving straight in. I actually observed that myself walking across there. Someone was probably, it seemed like they must have been going there about 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, pulling off the road. So it's a pretty, this right here, right now, is a pretty tough place for pedestrians. So, so the way this would have to work is you'd have to basically use Hillside Avenue as the second access. Obviously, you can come in or out of this driveway any way you like, and then have a second access here. Whether that's acceptable to the property owner or not.
So do we approach them
Yes.
and not the state or anything?
Well, the state has control over access to their highways. So I'm guessing that this is probably an old application, this probably isn't a driveway permit on file, I don't know that for sure though. But I'll talk to the district folks and see if I can find out what is on file essentially. So if there's a driveway permit on file, doesn't mean it can't be changed, but if it's not on file, then it'd be harder to change. If there isn't, then it'll come down to, DOT will probably not want to step into a controversial situation, like saying you have to close a driveway. In this case, and some folks at DOT would probably want to do that for pedestrian safety because the need is very clear. The district people that issue the driveway permits may not be so inclined to do that, get involved in that. I'm not really sure. But the next thing we'll have to do, if this is the configuration we want to go with, is talk to them about it and talk to the property owner.
okay,
And the property owner will I'm guessing we'll probably have some pushback on it. And we'll probably have to come back to you guys.
okay.
Yeah.
Does that give us any more wiggle room that they have 5 ways in and out of a half acre or
think it
under
does, yeah.
1 acre lot? Because I went down the other day, I get my diesel there in my motorhome, and I noticed they have 5 ways in and out of that
Yeah,
place.
they do.
Because
That's actually a cluster. I mean,
They have so much access over here.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
If they only had one access and you're basically cutting off their other access, it'd be
Yeah.
very tough.
Yeah.
It'd be really hard to approach them on that one.
right,
This one is, you do have a second access right here. It's really in the
Right.
same location.
Yes.
It's a little bit harder to get in and out.
yeah,
The visibility of it is some, it's a little different, but all this area here, based on this revised width, this is all part of the state highway. It's not really their property.
Yeah.
So as far as how that access goes, that's something definitely we'd have to talk to the property owner about,
yeah,
Charlie, and then go from there. I'll talk to DOT about what kind of driveway permits or access to the state highway are on file, we'll go from there.
okay.
if that's not accessible or if that's not able to block that off, is it going to hinder your thought process for the bike lane there?
I would add, honestly, going through here with this configuration with the sidewalk, I'm not sure I could even recommend that, quite frankly.
Okay.
I'd say. So something has to happen here. So
Yeah,
either-
there does.
Either this driveway has to be closed, or it has to be modified significantly. Otherwise, a sidewalk, it's just not a safe place to have a sidewalk.
Yep.
So if for whatever reason it's determined that this can't be closed, because there's some legal rights to that, then at the very least, it has to be more of a straight out kind of configuration, I suppose the angle it is now.
Yep.
So if someone has to go in, they have to make an actual left turn move instead of
Yep.
just shooting straight in. At the very least, that has to happen. So if, in my mind, this is, for pedestrians, this is clearly the safest way to go. No
Yeah.
question about it. in my mind.
Okay,
But, if we have to find some compromise solution along the way, that's what we'll do.
okay,
But no way we'll know until we talk to property owners and do a little more research.
Right.
right,
But before we get down, make sure that everybody's okay with what we have here.
okay.
And we still have, don't forget, we still have a longer process to go through, so we have plenty of time to work some of these issues out. So the other thing we changed was down at the other end. We had a couple of bump outs in this corner, which were not well received, to say the least.
Yeah,
So I took them out.
okay,
And then down on this side, there was this is obviously a sidewalk here, so I think we'll put a little piece of sidewalk there, a couple of crosswalks here to reach that sidewalk, possibly another one over at this location as well. So, the other thing we did is we looked at the right-of-way, I had the survey go back and look at Gordon Street, look at the right-of-way there. The chief was kind enough to send us some plans, and yeah, I think it's a big mess, the way it was described to me by the chief. And the surveyor actually confirmed that. It's very confusing. When I say a mess, it's
Okay.
basically you have deed information, and you have basically roadway layout information that just don't agree.
yeah,
So no matter how much you survey, there's still going to be a disagreement there on what that is. So based on the information that we received, and they had, we went back and laid out what we thought Gordon Street is. So we think, based on the old roadway, that it's a 25-foot wide right-of-way, which is really narrow. So the way they located that is they located off existing buildings that we know they knew were there at the time that the references were made. They established a center line, and they offset 12.5 feet on either side. So that's what this shows you. That's what these dashed lines are. So you
okay,
can see over here, if you look at these, this kind of white dash line on this side.
yeah,
That's essentially where we think the right-of-way might be,
okay,
based on one reference anyway.
Okay.
It could easily be something different. So if that's true, then the sidewalk itself would be effectively on private property.
okay,
So that leaves you with some options. One is to basically work with the property owners in the town and try to establish a mutually agreed upon line.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. The other is to look at where the sidewalk is now, which is basically where it's going back.
yeah,
And realize that it's been there for over 20 years, and you have some prescriptive easement rights to that.
Yeah.
So when I talked to my surveyor, what he said is that's probably the preferred way to go.
okay,
Is talk to your town's attorney, and then they could talk to our surveyor if that will help them.
Okay.
And then see what that involves.
Yeah.
But one thing we'll have to be sure of is that however we determine, who has what rights there, that has to be all well-defined well before we put this out to bid, because
sure,
the town, meaning somebody in the town, probably you, will have to sign a right-of-way certificate saying that the right-of-way is fully secured.
Okay.
And you can't do that unless
It's
you have any
secured.
work on private property.
okay,
So
Got it.
this is still kind of work in progress here.
Okay.
I do think that this is a really important link in this whole project, so
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's gonna be a tough thing to get through, I think, it's worth the effort. So I think that'll make quite a big difference.
okay,
Now, Mike, when it comes to the end of Gordon Street where that crosswalk is, just an observation I had the other day. It was end of the day, kids getting out of school. There was a gentleman walking, and then there was two cars crossing paths,
Yeah.
and they could not have on that side of the road 2 cars crossing paths and someone walking along that house. I realized when I saw that house is less than 3 feet from the pavement. That corner house on Gordon Street.
Oh.
The very corner of Gordon, and I think is it Education or School Street on that end? School Street, right?
School Street.
Yeah, School in Gordon.
Talking about on
Yeah,
School
it's,
Street
yeah,
itself.
it's because there's already a sidewalk on the other side of the road.
yeah,
Right.
So that it's already so narrow that, I mean, let alone a 6-foot wide sidewalk. A 2-foot wide person and 2 cars couldn't cross paths there without someone
Talking about
stopping.
on School Street itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
On School Street, we're not really.
not really.
Well, just I see where it wraps
Yeah.
around. That's
Yeah.
why I asked.
Yeah.
Well, I think, actually, we talked about that last time, this concern about this wrapping around and going too far down, 'cause it's really tight there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
it's
tight.
very,
Whatever we have
very
to do
tight.
here, it
Yeah.
may just be a wheelchair that just goes straight down, instead of going on a curve like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Depending where the right of way ends up being and what the physical constraints are. All we're really trying to do here is just end the sidewalk in a place we can get it across the street.
Yeah.
You know that School Street is really narrow,
It is
Yeah.
very.
but that's not gonna be solved as part of this
No.
project.
Isn't that last piece of property, they're using that for parking, correct?
They
For
are.
tenant parking?
Yeah, there's parking that's right up to the edge of the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you put a sidewalk,
Well,
Well, there's already kind of a sidewalk there.
Yeah,
so would it,
Yeah.
No.
so they're driving over it to park their vehicles?
which is not, it's not uncommon to do that.
Okay.
You have to do that, but I think what you don't wanna do though is what you have now, you have cars parked right up to the very, almost the edge of
Yeah,
School Street.
that's not
There's
safe.
one car there without a plate. So.
Yeah,
Well, those first few cars
Yeah.
right next to School Street.
Yeah.
I and there has to be, in my mind, there has to be some setback from the school street before
Yeah.
parking back across the
Sure.
sidewalk. And then basically the curb will end, and you can't see it here, there's a little dash line there,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes basically a sidewalk across the driveway, just like any other sidewalk
Yeah.
across the driveway.
Okay,
But this area here is, right now, it's just really big and wide open,
Mm-hmm.
and to make the sidewalk safer, there's some section of curbing that have to be put in there.
Sure.
We put a section of curbing in there, and then where the curbing isn't, it's basically, it's shaded here like a sidewalk, but essentially it's a driveway with the sidewalk
Yeah.
that's accessible across it.
yeah, okay. Well, keeping our school kids safe is of utmost importance, obviously.
It is, and honestly, the more, the fewer openings you have, and the more vertical curb you have, the better.
Yeah.
You gotta give people access to their property, they
Yeah.
have to for that, but, if you have big wide open big wide open driveways all over the place, and it's, you're not really accomplishing a safety improvement there.
Okay,
So that's part of it. So this is gonna be challenging, and that's gonna be, these folks are parking right to that corner, backing out, I don't know if we have an ordinance about that, but parking within that close to an intersection really should be avoided anyway.
okay,
Right.
So in that case, we suggested, hopefully they're parking somewhere else, and we can work with them on establishing the parking somewhere else on the property.
okay,
But that'll require, again, some conversation with the butters. I mean, all these folks on this side, we'll have to have a conversation with them anyway, because of the right of way, and this will come up as well, so.
okay.
We also added a section of sidewalk and crosswalks down here to get to this existing sidewalk, which we did this last
Nice.
time. And probably the biggest addition here is the addition of street trees. So the street trees that are on there, probably hard to see, but the ones that are kind of a little bit bigger and shaded are the new ones. The ones that are just a circle are the existing ones. So
Okay.
The landscape architect did that, and it was Doug Griner from G2+1 Landscaper. And the reason he did that is to get a better sense of it, how the corridor sort of flowed all the way through
Yeah.
from a landscape standpoint. So what this includes is a few trees here. I believe these are locust trees, and I think it's a combination of locust trees and maple trees.
Okay.
Is what he's suggesting, because they're both are really safe.
Okay,
The locust trees are tough, drought, and salt tolerant.
Yeah.
Open crown. And then
They last a long
the legacy sugar maples, he thinks are also very hardy. And we have some of those out there now, actually, I think some of these are sugar maples. So adding some more in that same location is probably some prudent thing to do. But we doesn't want to just put all the same type of tree up there.
yeah, no,
Right.
no, it's
So
gonna
he
be
did
beautiful.
suggest some alternatives, which are, I think it's a Katsutra tree, I don't know what that is.
No, I don't either.
A linden tree, a pin oak, a
Yeah.
scarlet oak, and a Princeton American elm. So those are some
Okay.
alternates, but
Okay.
in his mind, these are the toughest things you can put out there. So that's what he's suggesting.
Okay,
And all these trees will be located at the, beyond the back of the sidewalk, hopefully within the right of way.
yeah,
And these are located with a number of things in mind. Try to fill gaps where there are no trees, get more of a continuous tree line along the street. And also to locate them so they don't block business signs.
yep, okay, perfect,
Took both those things into consideration, and that's
Yep.
what's on this plan. These will be developed further as we move forward, but
excellent.
the trees that I have in there before, I didn't do too bad, actually.
Looks good.
They're almost in the same location. A
Well,
few of them
good.
didn't work, and he moved those out of the way.
Okay.
Put them in a better place, so.
Wonderful,
But, and again, it's this, if we're working along here and, the abutters have a chance to look at these, they may have some objections to them, which is fine. Then we can either relocate them or move them around or try to do something so we're not obstructing anybody's sign. That's obviously a huge issue.
obviously, yeah.
How big of a canopy will they have, the ones that you're planting?
I think the sugar maples, the height is 50 to 60 feet, and the spread is 35 to 40 feet.
Oh, yeah, I know full grown, but I mean, how big, you're not gonna plant them that big?
No, well, likely with that. No, when they go in, with trees that are near sidewalks, they have to be a pretty good size.
Yeah.
Because the minimum branch height has to be high enough so you don't hit your head on it if
Yeah.
you're-
Right.
if you're visually impaired.
I'm just thinking line of sight when people pull out of their driveways, that's why I asked.
So the bottom branch has to be 7 feet high. So your line of sight is pretty good.
Yeah.
If you're in a car, you're just way above that.
Yeah,
So
okay.
picture you're right about here.
You can put as many as you want at the bottom of the school street there by the Booster Club. We have a problem with people who like to go in the park there.
Well, I mean, all told here, there's about 14 new trees.
Wonderful,
Nice.
And they're all 3.5 to, I think, 2.5 is the minimum to 3-inch caliber. That gets you to the 7-foot height that you need for branches.
okay,
Actually, last week I was at Surefine and I saw the gentleman holding which I knew was the sidewalk on that.
You recognize?
So, yeah, so I went over and I introduced myself and what was his name?
Doug Griner.
We had a pretty pleasant chat,
Yeah, nice
and
guy.
and he told me, the different trees, and probably what we would need is a visualization, a picture of the trees,
Yeah.
so people know what they look like.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I did a linden and a locust, I thought were kind of alike, and he explained the
They're
difference.
kind of different, yeah.
Yeah, and
okay.
so
Yeah, no,
just-
it would be helpful
yeah,
to get
and
visuals
as
up
we were
on that at some
standing
point.
there, we both went with
Locust are
Gordon
narrow.
Street. When you
Yeah.
stand
Gordon
there,
Street's no way.
Yeah.
yeah, the telephone lines are too low, and most, a couple of the buildings are right there on the sidewalk.
Yeah, we-
I hadn't noticed the telephone post. That was, you know, a new visual for me, that they are very low.
Yeah, we never thought we'd get any trees on a Gordon Street. It's just too
No,
high over.
No.
But there
But he
is
was
some-
talking about you could, hardscape. He discussed, you have your options with hardscape
do, and
and,
you have some hardscape out there now. You have some
Yeah.
brick sidewalks. We
Yeah.
haven't really talked about. That's probably it. And I don't know if that's, the brick sidewalks are, right now, they're
Uneven.
Yeah.
uneven.
Yeah, they took
Yeah.
them out in Plymouth.
Salt and brick.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
No, so the option is to take
Plus
them
they're
out,
wearing on cars.
just remove them. In the downtown area, like just in this area here where the brick is, right in the heart
Yeah.
of downtown.
Yeah.
If you're gonna remove the brick, I'd probably put a concrete sidewalk in there.
Yeah.
As opposed to a bituminous sidewalk. The
Yeah.
rest of it will probably be like black bituminous sidewalks.
Yeah.
In this area, because it's, you know, it's right in the heart of your downtown, I think concrete sidewalks would make more sense, especially if you're gonna have a piece of concrete here for some ramps and
Yeah, yeah.
concrete ramps over here, so it might make sense to fill that gap with concrete.
Okay.
Do you think we should touch base with DPW as far as, I mean, I don't do this for a living, you do, but going from pavement to concrete, is there any thoughts that you have with damage from salt?
I don't
Because they do
really
salt
think
sidewalks quite a bit.
If you seal them, they hold up pretty well.
Okay.
So.
We have another
But they'll
question
hold
here.
up.
Can I
Yes,
get a
go
word in?
for it, Lee.
I just wanted to ask about the sign at the Booster Club. Is that just one sign that's gonna be, that, it looks like it has flashing lights on it? Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Is that,
You
which
basically
side?
You'll have a sign on both sides. So
Yeah.
There'll be one of these on both sides of the road.
yeah,
Oh, on both,
On
okay.
both sides.
Oh, all
On
right.
both sides.
Yeah.
You'll have
Okay.
flashers in two different directions from both sides of the road.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
basically, this configuration with the flashers,
Mm-hmm.
it's, you know, it's basically back and forth. And then the flashers get you across the road too, so you know it's time to walk.
How tall are those?
All of them, I think,
About-
are probably like 16 feet tall.
Okay,
By the time you get the solar panel on
Yeah,
there,
that's
it's
tall.
probably at least 16 feet tall.
Okay.
wow,
The
okay.
the sign height itself is, this is usually about 7 feet to there, and then you go up from there, so. So this- before you know, you're pretty tall.
Yeah, that's
Solar
pretty
panel's
tall.
pretty tall as well. So the option with those is you can use a solar panel, you can hardwire into the
Nice.
system. Some towns prefer the solar panels because it's energy efficient,
Yeah, we're doing solar.
using solar. Others prefer the hardwire because, you know, solar panels are solar panels and they require batteries and things wear out, whereas hardwire almost never does, so.
yeah.
That's something we can talk about as we move forward.
Okay. Any
Okay.
other questions from the board?
Yeah.
Any questions from the public? Okay,
So our process from here then.
yes, I was gonna ask that.
Nice.
If this plan is, I think we're basing here, this is more or less okay for now. So you'll have more cracks at it as we go.
Oh, of course, okay.
We make some changes. But as long as we know basically what this is, then what I'll do is I'll pull together the engineering study,
Okay,
which is effectively this plan, a little bit more detail, and probably less aerial photograph and more actual plan for DOT
Okay.
to review. Then I'll, hopefully within 2 weeks, have that ready to submit to DOT.
great,
And then that will go, then they'll hopefully they'll review it quickly, but
okay.
just hopefully we can see on that.
Yes, indeed.
And then from there, then in the meantime, in addition to the engineering study, which is not a huge document, it's a relatively brief document, I'll do the environmental part, which is a categorical exclusion, includes the coordination with Division of Historic Resources and a whole bunch of other people, and try to get that squared away as well. I don't really see a lot of problems here unless something comes up, but
Okay.
it should be a relatively straightforward environmental process.
Great,
And then the drainage work, probably that, DOT is pretty strict on what they'll let you do, when they'll let you do it, so. So at this point, I'm kind of showing some drainage lines along here, more or less what I think might happen. So I'll do a revised estimate based on what I think this is going to be, and then once preliminary design starts, then I can actually start doing the drainage analysis and get a better handle on that, so.
okay,
I think, I don't know where we are budget-wise, I think we'll be pushing your budget,
okay.
Mm-hmm.
to say the
All right.
least. Which is, you know, it's happened on other TAP projects and DOT, if you're still within the same project limits have been so far, because it's a new program, there's still some funding out there that we've been open to increasing the budget if it's necessary.
Okay,
So I
great,
think, you know, we'll go for all of it right now.
Right.
great, wonderful. Well, we look
Great.
forward to hearing more from you, Mike, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll ask you again, Charlie, you want this thing? No.
again, you're welcome to stay, or, you know, feel free to,
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it.
okay,
I've been putting them upstairs for the public. If anyone from the public wants to come to the town office, they're upstairs, laid on a big long table like
oh,
this.
okay.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
So if you don't have a computer or anything and you want to see what it looks like,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna recycle it.
yeah, give it to me. And I'll put it upstairs with the other one, and then you can sort of see how it's developing.
Okay, back to the agenda. We have approval of minutes from the meeting on May 7th. Are there any comments or corrections?
I have a few.
Okay.
Page 2, line 41. It should say, no taxpayer funds are to be used,
Yeah.
add the words to be in.
Yeah.
On page 3, line number 12, after club soda, just to clarify, it should say band,
Yep. Yes.
so people don't think it's a drink.
That's a good idea.
Oh, on page 5, on 16, line 16, if we could correct, it should say, Selectman Sharps attended the annual planning and zoning conference in Concord recently and attended a solar forum, period. And then say, she requested to be considered, have that in there. And then at the end put, she will give monthly updates to the public.
Okay.
And I think I have one last one. Same page, line 34. It should say, timeframe of this project and take out which will be and put and construction and then add is estimated to take out be and put start instead of starting in the spring of 2019.
Yep.
So it says timeframe of this project and construction is estimated to start in the spring of 2019.
Yeah, good.
And that's it.
I have a couple of corrections. Page 2, line 39, the cost of the event should be noted, it's the Civil War ball.
Oh,
The
okay.
event is the Civil War
Oh,
ball.
good catch.
And on page 3,
39, line 39.
39,
Instead of saying the cost for the
Cost of the
event,
event.
the cost for the Civil War ball.
and on page 3, on line 3, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry, Wendy.
Page 3, line 3?
Yeah. To approve the Hobo Railroad contract, blah, 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 under the, it says the committee account, under the Ashland Historical Society 150th
Yeah,
committee
Oh,
yeah,
account.
yeah,
yeah,
Those are the two I had.
sounds good.
okay. Any other comments or corrections?
No,
In that case, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of Monday, May 7th, 2018 as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda. For the week of 5/7/18, the accounts payable was $86,003, payroll $21,841. For the week of 5/14/18, the payroll was $16,849. We had the tax warrant, which we have signed in advance of the meeting. We also have a personnel action form from Ann Barney requesting to rehire Barb Sharrow as the
Seasonal.
summer camp supervisor. She was the same position as last year, so I would like a motion to approve the hire of Barb Sharrow for Parks and Rec summer camp supervisor.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Health Trust Employee Group Benefits. Shall we want to just talk about that a little bit?
That is the request to have the chairman to sign on behalf of the board for our group benefits. It's medical insurance and long-term, short-term disability.
Okay.
And did you not say it went down
It
slightly?
went down.
It went down. Always good
yeah.
news.
Wow.
Yeah. We're grouped with
Wow.
the school, and the claims were low last year, so
Yeah.
the rates went down.
So given
Nice.
that we had no choice, I've already signed it. I think we need a motion for that.
Yeah.
Okay, department heads. Chief Heath,
Yes, as you know, this year
you want to
we're,
come forward a little bit? So that we can
Get you on camera.
get you on camera. Thank you.
we received notification that we received the grant from Homeland Security Emergency Management for our revising our hazard mitigation plan.
Nice.
FEMA has finally forwarded the funds to the state, and now we're at the next step. We're asking you folks to okay the grant proposal that we received. And the total amount of the grant was $8,000, $6,000 from Homeland Security, and $2,000 would be from the town of Ashland. And I'm recommending that that $2,000 come from the line for the actual line item for emergency management.
Okay.
Money in there to deal with that.
Okay,
And then that will allow us to move forward. Then we start the meetings.
okay.
Nice.
Any questions for Chief Heath? In that case, I would entertain a motion to read, the Town of Ashland Board of Selectmen in a majority vote accepted the terms of the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, HMGP, and presented in the amount of $6,000 for the local hazard mitigation plan update. Furthermore, the board acknowledges that the total cost of the project will be $8,000, in which the town will be responsible for 25% match, or $2,000. If the board wants just the town manager to sign the agreement, include this statement, and then I would assume that we would want that. Further, the board authorizes the town manager.
We don't
to-
have a town manager.
It
Town
says
administrator,
administrator
excuse me, to sign all documents related to the grant. So is there a
And-
motion?
And I would
And-
add
Okay,
for the expenditure to come out of line item.
yes, the
Oh, yeah.
$2,000 to come out of the line item that exists. 01
4290-10-610.
0-10
610.
Okay, 610, okay, that's the emergency management line. Yes,
I would like to ask too, that I don't know if that document you read actually says town manager.
it does.
Okay, then that would need to be changed to town administrator
Yes.
and actually voted on, because if there's the slightest error with this, it will not go through.
Right.
Okay.
Makes it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we.
Because
All
they
right.
want this in the minutes.
Yeah.
They want this in the minutes.
Okay,
Yes.
so first a motion to change the wording to read town administrator rather than town manager.
I make said motion.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we will change that wording. And now a motion to approve the,
As read.
as read.
I'll do that.
Okay, second,
Second.
further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Do they need to sign as the sub-recipients though?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
And that could be done after the meeting or something.
Okay.
So it doesn't hold the meeting up. There's
No, it's fine.
Quite a few pages to that
Yeah.
document.
Oh,
We'll put it in the
right.
signature file.
okay.
Okay.
Stick it in the signature file.
Oh, I see, yes,
Yeah.
every page has to be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, not every, but.
Yeah. Okay, anything else, chief?
Yes, and while I'm here, I'd like to update on the new engine.
Aha,
Oh,
We received notification at the end of last week that they're tentatively scheduling the acceptance testing to be done on June 7th. No firm commitment on that at this point, but that's sort of what we're looking at, and we'll know more probably as we get closer to June. And then after that, the truck will be brought to New Hampshire, to Milton for final outfitting, and be delivered sometime mid to late June.
oh, wonderful, wonderful. We
Nice.
should we should have a
And
ribbon cutting or
ribbon
something.
cutting.
Yes.
yeah, that's the good news.
I'm okay with this.
Now, the other
Okay.
side of the
I
coin.
know,
Oh,
I know this
okay.
one.
the
Oh,
other
yes,
shoe.
I
see
know,
it.
I
Some
know.
of you may have seen two ambulance, one on a flatbed leaving town the other day.
Oh,
Well, we've been having some mechanical issues with it. It's stalling out, so we have sent it to Liberty International in Manchester, where today I haven't heard from them yet, but they were doing some diagnostic testing on it with computers to try to isolate and identify what the problem is. And as soon as I find out, I will let you folks know.
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, I think.
Yes,
Okay, is that it?
that's it.
Okay, well,
Nice.
we'll take the good news and deal with the bad news. Okay. All right, police chief. Chief Randall?
You're on board.
Would you like to talk about your new cruiser?
New cruiser, what I'd like to talk about,
Well, you're on the
Outfitting.
agenda, so you've outfitted it.
yes, the cruiser is all outfitted. I will tell you that we've had issue with it already as far as the check
What?
engine light.
Oh,
So it's currently down to Irwin Motors.
Okay.
And they can't seem to figure out what the issue is.
Of course
Alright.
not.
So,
Wow.
I talked to them last Thursday, I think it was.
Okay.
They were gonna get back to me this week about what they were gonna find. I guess they got everybody on the East Coast that works on Fords trying to figure it out.
Okay.
So,
All
it
right.
sits down there with 150 miles on it.
Okay.
And it's already been completely outfitted?
It's all,
Ugh.
it was on the road. We actually put it on the road
Okay.
for 6 hours.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
it's a little bit of a sore subject with me.
I would imagine.
So,
Okay.
but I'm pretty confident it's gonna get resolved. one
Oh,
way
I'm
or
sure it
another.
will.
Whether they buy us another cruiser and pay
Wow.
to have it outfitted and
Yeah.
decaled or whatever. but,
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Well, keep us posted.
you just never
Good
know.
luck.
But you need a vote to release the funds from the capital reserves.
Oh,
Oh, to pay for the outfitting?
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that, okay, that,
Well,
right. So
I
that,
thought that was forwarded to everybody.
it is. So the
It
total
is.
is $9,408.75.
Yes.
I did not
Okay.
bring that paperwork with me.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
so
it.
I would
That's it for
need
the
a
outfitting.
motion to approve the release from the capital reserve fund of $9,408.75.
I'll do that.
Is there a second?
A second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
keep us posted.
As soon as I know you.
Okay, thank you. New business, Lakes Region Community Developers, Charlie?
Go right ahead, Sal.
Okay,
Can
you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Sal Stephen Hubbard. I'm
Okay.
the Real Estate Development Director with the Lake Region Community Developers,
Okay.
which is the new name for the Laconia Area Community Land Trust.
Mm-hmm.
As you may know, we own the Harvey Heights development, which was formerly Ledgewood Estates, and had come before you last year to request the sponsorship of a community development block grant award,
Yep.
which we received. Unfortunately, we did not get the other financing necessary to move the project forward. We were looking for resources from the New Hampshire Housing Finance Agency, specifically home funds and low-income housing tax credits. And we're very close to actually being successful in gaining that award. However, we're beat out by another project by a couple of points, and so we would like to go back in again this year and wanted to talk about seeing if you would again sponsor a CDBG award application, which would need to go through the process of public hearing and
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. But I thought I could come. I talked to Charlie, and he suggested that I come and just be available to answer questions about the project before we go to the public hearing stage.
so when do you anticipate coming back for a request for public hearing?
You can come back pretty much any time.
Okay.
The applications are due the end of July,
Okay,
so we would hope to do that before the application goes in.
okay. Any other questions?
Well, should we set a date?
Do you want to set a date?
Sure.
Okay, well, as you know, we meet the first and the third Monday
Yeah.
of
June.
each month, so
Yeah.
June?
June 4th, I think, is
June-
our next one.
June 4th?
Yeah,
Okay.
that
So
sounds
Does that
good.
work for you?
we need to notice the public hearing.
Yes, we do.
So I'm trying to pull up my calendar to see whether we have time to do that.
Could always be the 21st. That's our workshop.
Yeah,
Okay.
We meet on the first and third Mondays every month.
So that would be the 18th.
no, but,
Yeah.
yeah, it is the 18th, it's the 18th,
Yeah.
yeah.
So perhaps we should be safe and go for the 18th.
Okay.
until we
Sure.
get the-
Yeah.
The meeting noticed.
Okay,
That
That would
sounds
be
good.
great.
all right. So can I have a motion to approve a public hearing for the new CDBG grant for June 18th?
I'll do that.
Second,
Second.
further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Great, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
See you on the 18th.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Ashland Historical Society. Kate, would you like to share the good news with us?
Sorry. Sure. What the heck?
Oh, come on, don't be modest.
This is
Okay.
good stuff.
Yes.
Susan's gonna read a speech.
Okay. Come on,
Susan's gonna read
Susan.
a speech.
This is good stuff. We want to
Susan's gonna read
celebrate.
a speech. Susan's gonna read
A
a speech.
speech.
I'll read it.
I'm gonna show you the award. Ooh.
Excellent. That's really nice.
So the Ashland.
Can we
Yes, you
touch
can
it?
Don't drop it.
So the Ashland Historical Society received a New Hampshire Preservation Alliance Award for 2018 for the preservation of the Reuben Witten House back in 2016.
Very nice.
When we finished the project. I was gonna Vanna White the pictures when Susan read the speech. Look, I was gonna go like this, see, here's one view. Here's another view, which I know you can't see.
Yeah.
Here's a bunch of pictures of the house, but I'm gonna find, here we go.
You
This
should-
is the best one.
Yeah, you should.
This is what it started out
before
like.
and after.
Let's see.
Oh, my.
This is how it started.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
It's a shocker.
Yeah.
It is.
It is a
I'm
shocker.
so used to looking at it.
I know,
that way.
you do.
Yeah.
Looking for this one?
That's one of the finished versions.
Very nice.
And we were presented the award last Tuesday?
2 weeks ago, was it? Yes.
The 8th, May 8th, down in Concord.
Wonderful.
And no money comes with it.
Oh, well. Recognition is good.
We're a little depressed about that.
Uh-huh.
As you know, the Reuben Witten House exterior was preserved, so we replaced the roof, the clapboards, the doors, the windows, all restored, and true as much as possible to the original build, although not quite. And there were some key partners who helped us in this endeavor, who also received awards. So it was Barry Gossipican, Jack Bellatetz and Dan Yeoman from Bellatetz Ash Lumber, Stark House Joiners, who did our windows, and who am I forgetting?
The roofer, the roof.
Garvin, no, James Garvin. James Garvin, who helped us put together our plan. Yes, thank you.
Excellent,
James Garvin.
excellent. Well, congratulations and an
Yes.
excellent job, teamwork. This is really a
it's
good thing
beautiful.
for Ashland, and it is beautiful.
When I read the press releases, I noticed that correct me if I'm wrong, this appeared to be the only project that was done with all volunteer work.
Yes.
Some of the
Aha.
bigger projects use grants,
Yeah,
but this was pure sweat equity.
well, and a labor of love, no
Yes.
doubt.
So, and we were featured in Early American Life back in June of 2016. When they did their story in Their Year Without a Summer, they featured the Reuben Witten House. And
Yeah.
then, for all the volunteers, I've already broken one of these.
Don't drop it.
Okay.
But for all the people who helped us, we gave them a picture of the Reuben Witten House.
Oh, wow.
with
Isn't
snow,
that nice?
with a certificate on the back.
Oh, nice.
that's
All of our key
beautiful.
contributors got a thank you.
Oh, lovely.
So, and in the upper
Lovely.
corner is the way it started, and then this is the way it ended.
Oh, very
Oh,
nice.
that's
So this is
Excellent.
their little Year Without a Summer Reuben
Yeah.
Witten House.
So
Snow
good.
globe.
Wow. I have
Very
one.
nice.
I have
I
one.
like it.
Oh, that is gorgeous.
I think there's one at Meredith Village Savings Bank.
Cute, huh? Yes, there is one, because they
Yes.
did a grant. They gave us $5,000, so Meredith Village, yes,
So
they
there
did
was
get
a,
one.
so there was a grant, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Yes.
but some of
There were
these-
two.
yeah, two.
We got one
But
from the
these-
Preston Fund, and we got one from Meredith Village, and the rest of the money we raised
It's
with
just so cool.
fundraising.
That's very cool.
Great.
And most of the materials were donated, so again, very grateful to the partners that helped make this happen. And it was a very small group of people, less than 24 people were involved in making this happen.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I know how hard you all worked,
unbelievable.
and this is great. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, David. Excellent job.
Yes, and I inhaled years and years and years.
Thank you, Kathleen.
It is still possible to see the inside of the Reuben Witten House. We're doing it by appointment. We only really have it open during the summer, so you can get a hold of the Historical Society if you're interested in seeing the inside. The inside has been untouched. So it is raw as
Yeah.
raw can be. And interesting because the house was built around 1810, so you get to see the guts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh.
so you really get, because
Yeah.
then the wall got knocked down and then put back up, so there's, everything's showing.
Okay,
So,
great.
are you done playing?
Oh,
You play with that for a
It says
little
Katie Marr
while.
on the back, so you can't have it later.
Yeah, she's gonna have to give it to Kathleen Marr.
that was fun.
Okay, is there any other new business? In that case, old business, town administrator
All right.
updates.
More good news. The The library had 552 people visit in April. I'll read this pretty much for people at home. 'Cause
Yep,
I know
that's
not
good.
everyone has this. They circulated 828 items from the library. I'm interested to know, maybe Mardine can answer, you see an increase to borrowed items, or?
It's been, I would say it's probably been steady high.
Nice.
That's good news.
Cool. The patrons can now place interlibrary loan request online by using the library's website.
Can I comment to that?
Sure.
Now this is easy to use. People realize if the book is not physically in the collection of the Ashland Town Library, this is where interlibrary loan comes through. I've used it twice to read books that I frankly I didn't want to buy myself,
Yeah.
and I think I only had to wait 3 or 4 days, and I had the book from they ship them,
Nice.
and you have it for the 2-week period. And
Is it from the entire state?
yes,
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Do they go outside the state?
I doubt it.
I don't
On
think so.
a rare occasion, they probably
Okay.
could, depending on the item.
Yeah.
It could be possible, yeah.
That's
Depends on
excellent.
the request.
so if it's a book that probably wouldn't attract a huge following, that the library didn't feel they would like to add to their collection, it's a way to
That's
access
great.
it. So the patrons can enjoy it.
So the library has a couple events coming up. Teen night at the library will be held on Friday, May 25th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Preschool story time will take place Friday, June 1st from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Registration for the library's summer read-in program begins June 11th, and the theme this year is Library Rocks. A couple programming highlights. They'll have a live animal program from Squam Lakes Natural Science Center on June 28th, and a presentation of American folk tales and songs by Hampstead Stage Company August 2nd. And just an FYI, the library will be closed on Monday, May 28th in observance of Memorial Day. The Parks and Rec are now, they're averaging 15 kids a day.
Nice.
All the sites at the campground are rented. It's was ready for opening day May 1st. They had an Easter egg hunt at the Booster Club. Ian said it was a success. There were donations from the Ashland Community Center and St. Mark's Church. Because of the donations, they filled, let's see here,
300 eggs.
300 eggs were hit on the ball field, and there were 4 baskets that were given to kids through a free drawing, and the Easter Bunny was there for a photo op. This next one's pretty cool. During April vacation week, what?
Yeah, you're cute.
Yeah.
Huh?
You're cute.
Thanks. During April vacation week, the kids planted some flowers and vegetable and egg cartons, and they've been taking care of them, and they're hoping that they will sprout. And the plan is that after school or summer camp, kids will replant them in 2 boxes, so
neat.
the kids will have fresh vegetables and snacks for the summer.
I believe they have a
Told
couple
you it's
of
pretty
planting.
cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Susan, don't they have a couple of planting boxes right there?
Yeah, they do.
They were built several years ago
Yeah.
by AARA
Yeah.
and volunteers.
Yeah.
It's nice that they'll be actually used.
Used.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of filled with weeds, yes.
Okay, so Mark Liepert, who's with AARA, and Ann met 3 different companies to get estimates on the new playgrounds. Sign up for summer camp is May 8th at the Booster Club from 4:30 to 6. Registrations are ready to go. You can get them at the town office, the school, town website, PBS station, and their Facebook page. Ann's going to be hiring. She's got some help wanted ads for anyone around town that might want to help this summer. Chief Heath, during the month of April, the fire department responded to 35 calls, 22 medical emergencies, 7 fire rescue calls, 3 motor vehicle accidents, and 3 service calls. Regular training continued. They also had a pre-plan operations for the abandoned building of LW Packard Mill. They toured, I think.
Yeah, I wish Chief Heath had stayed for that because it was pretty dramatic.
Yeah, I was
what
gonna
they
say,
did.
didn't Kathleen, you went with them, right?
Well, not for that
No.
training.
Not
He
for
did invite me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I declined.
They put them in groups and
Uh-huh.
send them off in different directions.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they had trouble getting out.
Yeah,
Let's
it's-
just say, and, it was a very scary situation.
No, I did the daytime tour,
Yeah.
not the training exercise.
And this comes into play when we talk about that whole building in the future.
So EMS, they had some training involved, the assessment and management of endocrine and psychiatric emergencies. Trucks were checked, they logged the information. The new engine, as Chief said earlier, delivery sometime in June. They're still waiting for the arrival of the ballistic vest helmets that they purchased through the grant. Some life safety code inspections, and they continue to file their reports. Police Department, Chief Brando and his department, in March and April, they had 549 calls, 161 incidents, 29 arrests, 1 warrant was posted, 4 accidents, 132 citations were given, and 20 parking tickets. The department continues to follow up on investigations. Our new Sergeant Gray attended training to become the department's threat liaison training officer. So what this is, he would be the point contact for federal and state agencies for sharing information related to drugs and criminal activities and trends. The lieutenant, sergeant, and officer Waterbury attended training that was sponsored by DEA. This is relative to meth labs and updates on current illegal drugs and activities associated with drugs. No cost for the training. Ashland Police Department, again, participated in the Nation Drug Take Back. We took in 24.6 pounds of expired and unused drugs.
Wow.
It's quite a bit.
Yeah, it is.
It's a good program. Chief
Yeah,
was
it is.
telling me
It is.
before, it's very popular. It's successful.
Oh, it's great.
Department radar units passed their yearly in certifications, and he recommends, as always, you lock your vehicles at all times. DPW, right. They removed the plows and sanders only to get hit by a storm and had to put them back on to remove them again, so they're ready to be stored. They helped out the electric department with some down wires on Levitt Hill and Smith Hill. I think that was the night we had that meeting. It was
Yes,
really
it
bad.
was.
Oh, yeah.
It was terrible.
What's that?
Hey, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
She lives there.
Yeah.
So they had a couple spring project that they completed. They helped out Parks and Rec building a new shed.
We got our new shed.
It's an
I didn't
installed
know
too
that.
at the beach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't gone down to.
They added some trim in the windows and doors upstairs at the office. I don't remember if you remember what it looks like. There was really nothing there. They still have to paint it, but it's more.
No curtains yet?
Yeah.
No, I haven't got them or the drapes yet. So, so they added some trim to the transfer station doors. They completed the cleanup on town campground and beach, loamed and seeded Memorial Park. 80% finished brush cleanup. They smoothed out Albrook Road and a road to the transfer station, so they're preparing for road ditching and grading for the summer, which will establish a crown in the dirt roads. The guys from the department got certified for culvert maintainer certification class through the state, so they're all certified culvert
Can I make a
maintainers.
comment on that? That's really important, so if we have a culvert blowout and it's an emergency, they can take care of it. They do not have to wait to get permission from the state.
Oh, good.
So this makes any emergency
Yeah.
or even everyday maintenance
Yeah.
Yeah.
that they don't have to go through, they use the best management practices,
Nice.
and I think this is a big plus.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
the guys should be,
Yeah,
they should be congratulated
Definitely.
for having this.
Our foreman, Dan Titus, he completed the solid waste operator certification class and is now certified as a principal operator at the transfer station. They replaced a rotted culvert and catch basin on Washington Street and they expect to pave that in the next few weeks. The roads were swept May 10th. I don't know if anyone saw them out sweeping. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do,
They got the town office, I noticed. And they're going to be painting the crosswalks, parking areas, weather permitting. I think they've actually already started
They
that.
have.
Great.
Yeah.
And spring cleanup with summer projects, they're continuing to do them.
Okay.
And the tax collector
I
collected
have-
49,000. Go
I
ahead.
just have one question.
Sure.
Where it says loaned and seated at Memorial Park, do you recall perhaps 3 or 4 months ago we discussed the matter of the conifer bush there that
It's taken care of.
taken care of? Okay, I didn't know if that was gonna be here. My other question was, as far as equipment, did they end up getting that piece of equipment that we gave them the authorization to get? I thought that would be
They went on Saturday. I haven't talked to Craig. You're talking about the new truck?
Truck, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk to
Okay.
him today, but I know they went on Saturday.
Okay.
There should be some other expenses, I should say, coming for Memorial Park. I talked to Ann today about, seeding and making sure.
or the ball field.
You mean the ball field?
You mean
Yeah,
the
ball field,
Yeah,
park,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
As I mentioned, tax collector took in $49,367 in taxes, $29,758 in motor vehicle permits, $200 for vital records, $515 for registered dogs. The tax liens go out the end of the week, and tax bills go out at the end of the month.
Okay.
Maybe it should be noted at the ball field, there's gonna be 2 big activities fairly close together down there. That to probably put in new grass now might not be the best choice, to wait until after they can assess what kind of damage
Damage.
went from the, from
That's
the.
something to ask
yeah,
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they could do it like for the fall, which is another good time
After
to
the
do your
4th of
seeding.
July.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
150th.
50th.
And
So,
okay.
yeah.
I'll mention that to Ann.
Okay. All right, project list.
Okay, so my official updates. Well, we just talked about the TAP
Yeah.
grant with Mike. The Thompson Street road reconstruction project, that's on the agenda.
Okay.
I can speak more to that
Yeah,
in
at that
a couple
point,
minutes.
yeah.
LW Packard mill site, no updates. I guess you can say the chief just did some training.
He did some training, and we are meeting again with Novus, at least by teleconference tomorrow night. So we'll get hopefully a new update, and then I will let you know what they say.
What time's that meeting?
6:30
In
at Fire Station.
Okay. The L-CHIP grant, we sent out the retainer fee for that, I believe, last week, Monday? I think so. Williams Architect, I talked to Chris, he said he received it. And
Start date?
yeah, I talked to him today, and he expects within the next week or so to get a scope going, so we can get a time frame going on that project. Town parcel audit, this is the GIS mapping. We just received the first invoice from CI Technology, which is 10% of the fee. So we're in the process of, getting that through bookkeeping and finance to get that sent out. The personnel policy, that was sent to staff to initially review, or Tony and Craig and Patsy. But ultimately, that will go to legal counsel to make sure, we're up to date with all the legal parameters that we're expected to do, and then it will get sent to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
Town office building maintenance, Libby Mason completed the repairs at the old jail building and replacing that window, I would say about a week and a half ago.
Shouldn't we archive this then?
I'm sorry?
Shouldn't we archive this since it's completed?
Well, he will, but he's announcing that it's completed now, so,
Yeah.
it will be, anything,
The town office building maintenance,
it should be ongoing.
yeah, because,
We got more stuff. to
yeah, as I said, the installation of the cameras and actually the smoke detectors, which is actually on the next page too,
Yeah.
under fire alarm. But I also got a quote from a company about replacing the carpet, just to try to get that in CIP. I know we talked about
Yeah, I
before.
think that's important.
Yep,
So I can send that along to you guys.
okay.
because the upstairs really needs it. I mean,
Right.
it's a, maintenance issue for joint loss committee.
Yeah, it is.
The Riverwalk. I did say to Craig, or asked Craig to put that on his list, and he said it was already there. As to it, so that should be, coming soon to clean up the.
Is this the sign that's down there saying that construction will begin Friday?
I'm not sure. I saw that today, but possibly, yeah. The town office building fire alarm, Mango started last week. So they're installing the smoke detectors and the heat detectors first, and then they're going to move to the security cameras next. So they'll be in the office for probably the next week and a half. No updates for the building telecommunications, and the speed bump on Levitt Hill Road. Anyone want to address that? Because that might be coming
We had
soon.
agreed that we would address it before the season opens, and we're coming up on season opens, so we
Right.
need to.
Last week when I was at Knowing the Territory, when they came to impediments in the road, I took the opportunity to ask the question. Of course, this isn't a definitive legal opinion, but it would be considered an impediment. This was by Stephen Buckley. He said it's probably not in compliance. Was it an ADA approved bump? Of course, I didn't know that. With a warning signage at each approach direction, slow speed bump. I couldn't address that either.
There was.
There was,
Yeah.
okay. He said probably a use of cones that nobody knew what to call this, but that little green man
Yeah.
that you put,
Yeah.
crossing signs, so
Yeah.
everybody referred to him
Yeah.
as the green man to use that. And it was suggested that could there be a police presence when the kids are getting, just the present. You can just do a drive-by and you can coordinate with Ann when the kids arrive and when they're crossing the street to let local people know there is a police presence.
Oh, don't worry,
Yeah,
we're gonna be present.
Okay, thank you.
But it was considered an impediment, and the gentleman sitting next to me and from Moltboro said the way they addressed the issue was they had 4 feet sections on each side of the speed bump to allow for any other sort of passage, wheelchair, bikes, but I don't believe there's room on Levitt Hill Road to have a 4 foot
No,
on each side.
no.
And everybody seemed to be a little taken back when I said it had been vandalized. So.
Several times it's been vandalized.
And any other further information probably should go to our town council.
Well,
For
whatever,
clarification.
I mean, we need to highlight that crosswalk much more than it has been. And, maybe that little green man, you see it on Route 3 over down in Holderness by the beach. And I mean, anything that would remind people that kids are coming and a police presence.
I did look at handicapped, ADA approved,
Yeah.
not handicapped,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, speed bumps.
Yeah.
And they're made of rubber.
Yeah.
And they have a very low profile.
Right,
So wheelchairs or bikes could easily
yeah,
get over it, and they were $70 to $90. So.
The original ones they put in were very low profile.
yeah,
Yeah.
and those got
But when they
damaged
got
too. Yeah.
vandalized, the town had one down at the,
That was my
so to
understanding,
save
yes.
money, they stuck that one
Yeah.
in, which was more pronounced than the
Yeah.
other ones.
Yeah,
That was the one that got
You know,
cut.
that's what
correct?
happens when people vandalize stuff, it ramps everything up.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you, if we write a few tickets over there, maybe that gets everything.
Well, maybe
I
that's
think
what,
it's worthwhile.
yeah, maybe the police
Maybe
presence
that's
would
what
be.
it's gonna take. You know,
Yeah.
The problem with the police department is that we're not always available every day to
Right.
get over there to, because there's
Right.
other stuff going on.
Yes.
right.
Okay,
Would it-
sometimes it ties up, if there's 2 of us working, it ties up both of us.
Would it be worth considering putting in a seasonal stop sign, at least on the downhill side from Levitt Hill? Because that's where this, I think
No,
the speeders, no.
I think that's just, no, I don't
No,
think that's
okay.
gonna work, Fran. I think what really is gonna work is some tickets.
I agree.
And they're gonna hate us, but you
Yeah,
know
well-
what? Slow down.
Yeah,
Okay, you don't like the speed bumps,
Right.
that doesn't slow you down. Well,
Right.
maybe hitting your pocketbook does.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, it's very
I hate to
true.
be that way, but, I mean, I just can't
True.
believe that people can't use
No.
some common sense when they're driving by
Right.
there with all this, we got a 15 mile an hour speed limit sign, and
Yeah.
then it goes to 25.
Yeah,
I just can't fathom that people are in that much of a hurry,
Right,
right there on that little stretch of road.
yeah.
So that's the most information I could do at this, informal setting.
Well, that's
with,
helpful.
You know,
That's good.
so it,
I think that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
cones or something, we should check with our DPW to find out if they may have, the sign that says a crosswalk.
Yeah.
Sign like they have down by the cottage place.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I was
If we
thinking of.
have one of those kicking around somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
If you
Because
would,
we want
Charlie,
that-
talk
want that in the middle
to,
of the
talk
road.
to Craig.
Yeah.
And if they
Yeah,
don't
that'd
have
be
one,
good.
could we price it?
Yeah.
And see if we
It's
could
just
get one?
something else to try to
Yeah, that's a good idea.
make people aware.
Yeah.
so does the little green man have an official name?
I have no idea.
Crossing guy.
The crossing
Crossing
guy.
guy.
No, one thing that I was thinking, hopefully this succeeds, but if it doesn't, one thing I've seen in my travels is it's actually an elevated crosswalk. It's 4 inches tall, it's made out of rubber, and it has a ramp on either side, which is ADA compliant because it raises, it brings it up, the 4 inches, it's 4 feet wide, and basically if you hit it above the marked speed limit, you're bottoming out. So, something to consider.
And this is the other thing he cautioned, because you have to watch about the liability.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
that, because it is considered an
Right.
impediment in the road.
Yeah.
I think that's why they make it out of rubber.
They ought to drive up Thompson and
anybody
Smith
driven
Hill
up
on a
that
regular
road?
basis.
The road's an impediment itself.
I know, I was gonna say, drive on Smith Hill and Thompson.
Well, I didn't want to air
We
any
have-
more dirty
We have
laundry.
permanent speed bumps, many of them.
Hey, the police department will try to do something.
Okay,
How's that?
all right.
So you guys may get complaints.
Yeah, well,
That's all
so
right.
what else is new?
We have wide shoulders.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so that's it for updates, unless there's any other on the list that you folks want to address.
Not at this time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Okay, you're on again.
Yeah.
LRPC participation in oil propane RFP.
Okay, so LRPC reached out to us to see if we wanted to join a group RFP to purchase group or bulk oil or propane for the town. Presently, we do that for the fire station and the booster club, but those are only oil. Those are grouped with a couple neighboring towns and I think the school. We're required there to purchase 95% in order so we don't break the contract.
Yep.
If you don't get to 95%, they, if you're at 90%, they charge you an extra 5%.
Okay.
But the rates are lower than what's out there on the market.
Okay,
I gave them LRPC a tentative yes.
Okay.
Because we purchase propane at the town office, the transfer station, and the highway garage.
Okay.
As you can see, we spent last year basically $9,000 in heating. I mean, it was a pretty cold winter.
Yeah.
But we are contracted with Eastern Propane in the extent that they own the tanks.
Yeah.
And when I talked to them, they said generally how this works is if the contract goes to someone else, generally they just get bought out with a tank.
okay. So we need
So
this
I need the motion
Okay, so the
read.
recommended motion is
Yep.
the town of Ashland authorizes the LRPC to issue a request for proposal on our behalf to take part in a regional propane and/or oil joint purchasing initiative. We understand this means jointly issuing an RFP to purchase oil and/or propane at a group rate. We agree not to shop around during the joint bidding process so that our group will have a stable purchasing volume for bidders to base their bid price on. We further understand that we are under no obligation to accept the joint bid price if it is not competitive for our town to do so. And I have a motion to that effect.
I'll make that
Is there a second?
motion as read.
Is there a second?
I'll second that for discussion. I only have one input on that. The transfer station. Well, there's a few citizens in town that donate a lot of vegetable oil and motor oil and stuff like that, and that don't use it themselves anymore. So is that going to affect the bottom line of what you're going to get charged if 1,000 gallons of vegetable oil shows up at the transfer station and they no longer need all of that propane down there?
No, I think they're still using it because of all of the sums of the 8,900, that one was
Okay.
pretty low.
Okay, yeah, I had a feeling it
Yeah.
was.
So I assume
Made
that
a
they're
few trips
using
there
it.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a question from the audience. Yes, Mardine?
as LRPC had on it, the
Okay. Sure.
LRPC commissioner.
Yes.
Just would encourage you to look into that. Last year, LRPC put together the same type of process for towns for bulk buying of electricity.
Yes.
And they did come in very successful savings for the group of towns that did that.
Yeah.
So this is along the same line, just for,
Yeah.
but for oil and propane. And it is, and you could include any town building, any town-owned building.
Okay.
Whether it could be from the library, the town hall, utility building, any of those buildings where you're purchasing oil or propane. You know, exclusive of the ones where you've already got a contract.
Great.
Yeah. The only
Thank you.
reason why I brought it up is the nomenclature when it says we are required to purchase 95% of our 3,785 gallons of oil. Doesn't say what kind of oil, it just says oil. I don't want to see, I don't want to see the town get in a bind if I drop off 1,500 gallons of vegetable oil down there and then they have someone come after.
Oh, no, that's for the fire station.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah,
okay.
and the
Okay.
booster club.
Yeah. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I say aye as well. Okay, it passes. Thank you, Charlie.
Sure.
NHDES, State Revolving Fund.
Okay, so this is a request before the board to see if we want to reapply for funding the Thompson Street Road and Water Sewer Project. Basically, I'm just asking for approval from
Yeah.
the board to submit, but I will say this, that this year, this is drinking water state revolving fund and drinking water, in groundwater trust fund, which I can, there's a difference between drinking water and clean water. Clean water, it's basically sewage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But I would say new this year is the groundwater trust fund. Okay, so that is part of the application, and what that is there's the drinking water, which is DES, and then there's the groundwater trust fund. The groundwater trust fund is recently established from a case settlement the state had against ExxonMobil. The case awarded the state $270 million that the state is intending to use that on water projects, infrastructure, clean water, et cetera, et cetera. They're hoping that the fund will go out to 2043, but we might qualify for it. I don't know.
Well, we have significant drainage issues, that's
Yeah.
groundwater, and given that
Yeah.
it's, near the Squam River, I would say we certainly can make a good case for it.
Yep.
Yep,
Yep. You have to apply.
Yeah.
sure.
They did say in the webinar that I went to that this could be combined with the drinking water state revolving fund that has principal loan forgiveness.
Yeah. Okay.
Which we probably will qualify again for that.
Yeah.
That's based pretty much off our rates and our medium income.
Right.
The town medium average income is about 44,000. You need to be below, I think they said about 60. So
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the times it's good to be a poor town.
Now, when you
Yeah.
apply for this, will you go around and take pictures of our problem areas or whatnot that would
No,
pertain
it's just
to
a straight
groundwater?
basic
Yeah.
application is what it is.
And you have most of the information.
From last year.
Pretty
already,
much
yeah.
from last year.
I think the only thing that's changed, the reason why I bring this up is the backside of Thompson, the part of the street that no one's talked about as much as the drainage, where we have that beautiful paved swale that brings all the water down Thompson into the Squam River. And we have all the cat nine tails that we have caught.
Absolutely.
So that would be your groundwater protection
Absolutely.
right there. Because no one wants
Right.
pavement water in the
Yeah.
Squam River.
No.
Yeah, and we could probably put that information in the application. The application is due at June 15th. Sometime in the fall, they'll let us know if we made the list, their priority list. DES determines the SRF, but the grant is through an advisory commission, so there's two groups that would be determining whether or not we receive any funding. Then, of course, it goes to town vote, and then after town vote, of course, it's got to go to the executive council and approved by the governor.
Yeah. Well, just a FYI, this whole project is within the Squam River and the Squam Lake overlay.
Yes,
So
for sure. Okay, the recommended motion is to authorize the town administrator on behalf of the Board of Selectmen to submit a pre-application form with the NHDES Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, that's DWSRF, and Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund, DWGTF, for funding the Thompson Street Road/Water/Sewer Reconstruction Project. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, excellent.
Okay, so the next one that I have is, I got a little tip from Kathleen and from attendant knowing the territory. It's called the Ashland Permanent File Report. This is just basic information for the public. There's no need to vote or anything like that. DRA used to give out around when the tax rate is set, a history of all of the RSAs that were adopted by the town. I don't know why they stopped or anything, but I requested a copy of ours, and wanted to put this in the packet to share with the public.
Okay.
It's a historical look at all of the RSAs that were adopted, the year that they were adopted, what warrant article it was voted upon, all of our capital reserve funds that were adopted, whether or not they're rescinded.
Okay.
It's just information for the public.
Great,
That's nice.
thank you.
So, Charlie shared with me, Patsy does have all of this. But sometimes you're home and you went, when did this pass?
Yeah, no, this is a handy
And
reference.
unless you want to start going through Old Town,
Yes, Susan?
They left one out.
Yeah,
Yeah, and-
that's why, go ahead.
yeah, well, here on Conservation Commission, they didn't have a date.
Well, and they left two out.
And Heel, was Heel the other one that,
No, 1980, the town voted to adopt the 7262 for solar panel.
Oh,
The solar energy for a total cost of such a system, including installation and any finance charges to be deducted from the assessed value of the real estate.
huh.
And it was adopted.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's
And I
the-
asked twice about this in the last year, and I've gotten no answer.
So what would,
so what's the
What-
RSA
So
on
if you
that,
wanna just
Susan?
email me that.
yeah,
What is the
You
number
can have
again?
it, you can have
Oh,
it.
okay,
This is the
sure,
warrant article.
yeah. The DRA, when I asked for it, she did say, this is what we have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
okay.
You need to let us
But
know
that-
if we're missing anything.
That was the old way to find this. You had to read Old Town reports, you had to
Yeah.
kind of, okay, what's the time frame? Yes, it's very
Yeah, I'd like a
interesting
copy of
reading,
that.
but it's
Which article was
also,
it?
Article 11.
it takes a lot of time.
Can I get a copy
Can-
of that, Charlie?
can we, yes, definitely.
need a copy of that.
Oh.
Can this be put on the web?
Yeah,
Okay, when we
Sure.
update it, make sure it's on the web so that people can access it.
This is one of the handouts that they emphasize, take advantage of
Yes.
this.
yeah.
So it must be fairly new, it didn't cost the town anything, so
Yeah.
I passed the information on to Charlie.
No, that's wonderful.
Nice.
Thank you
Madam
so much.
should we have legal look into that warrant article? I'm thinking, just in the back of my head, kicking around, the electric department was owned by the town when that warrant came to petition, but it's subsequently run by the commission. I'm with you saying it doesn't matter, but it's good to have legal in your corner. As far as that, because if we do have a warrant on record, then as far as I'm concerned, they can't say no.
Would be nice. Yes. It would be nice.
I mean, I don't want to play hardball, but if the town voted on
Hey,
it,
listen.
it's right there.
Exactly. This is 1980, I can't believe it.
I
Wow.
know.
Thank you, Susan.
Yes, thank you, Susan. That's good
Yeah, I
information.
can't wait to read that.
Okay, anything else, Charlie?
That's,
Any other, we have Board of Selectmen discussion on
Oh,
oversight
okay.
of public bodies.
So, yes. So this is the new Knowing the Territory handout. It's up to date to about April, because it has
Nice.
all the new 91A. They spent almost 2 hours of this workshop just doing 91A.
Oh, really?
So,
Yeah, I believe it.
it's very important. I'm guessing it's the political climate in the country that people are distrustful. They want to have access to town records. And some of it's not even suggestions. We must do, we shall do. It's not an option. Right down to say, well, Heritage Commission knows this because when we were doing the bond survey, Susan reached out to legal. Yes, we had to post, and now this goes even further. If it's just 2 of us, we must post we're doing this activity because we're doing it as a public body for the town of Ashland. Then it takes the next step. You need to get waivers from the property that you're entering. That way you protect the privacy of the property owner, and it also means the public does not have the permission now to follow us onto the property. So that was a question that I posed about the privacy of the landowner. If there's a subcommittee of the BOS and there's only 2 of us, you must post. It's a
Right.
meeting.
Right.
And follow all the 91As.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they just went down bit by bit, everything you wanted to know. And then they went on into saying that you do not want to have a 91A litigation. Town of Sandwich paid
Right.
over $200,000 in legal fees because of a right-to-know violation. And individual people can be fined personally if they have been warned that there's a 91A violation and they continue not to follow the state statute. They can be individually fined. So warning to everybody out that in the town of Ashland that does business.
We
you
spoke
know.
of this just last meeting, wasn't it?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
had this passed
Yeah.
across our table.
So yes, little did I know that this was quite the current topic.
Yeah, I think my concern would that be, is there any ramifications that can come back to the BOS on that, as far as 91A? If there's a subcommittee or an entity that is under the governance of us, that still has their own appointed, for instance, town trustees, when they're involved with the Scribners, they were here 2 weeks ago, is that gonna come back on us?
Not on the board, but it comes back on the town.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did get confirmation that that second floor conference room is off limits for public meetings because
Yeah.
they have yet to install the fire alarms.
Yeah.
I mean, we brought up the ADA compliance issues as well.
Yeah, yes,
So I think it's to our benefit that
that we need a letter for them.
yes, that we need to have notice that we've discussed this.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've done it in a public forum.
Yeah.
It's fair warning.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
fair warning,
Yeah.
and like I said, it's not an option. You can't
No.
say, well, you know, I
Right.
don't want to, or, you know,
Right.
this doesn't apply to me.
Right.
We need to do this.
We do.
Because
I agree.
I don't think any of us want to pay any legal fees
No.
because
No.
of somebody
True.
else's choices.
Okay.
So
Our new copy of that book we just received, so if you guys wanna
yeah,
review that.
Yeah, the format's a little different. They have a lot of court cases,
Okay.
which,
Yeah,
you know.
it's a
That's the
valuable
selectmen's
book.
desk.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So-
I have a copy too.
So to go along with that, because we have 2 committees that that are under BOS purview, and because of the 91A, these are 2 committees that are planning functions, festivities. And because they're under BOS purview, they must follow 91A. This is very cumbersome. I think we realize that they're doing things more week by week. We meet twice a month. So I drew up, I'll hand this out. This is just for review. I know,
Okay.
pass them all down.
Okay.
I got one for Charlie and Wendy too.
Okay. That's one for Charlie and Wendy.
That at this, when the 150th was set up as came forward to be a town committee, that was in 2013. A lot of things have happened in 5 years. They never had any they didn't have any rules of protocol or procedure. A BOS liaison wasn't appointed to assist them in any issues that might affect the town. I thought at this point we might consider releasing them from under our purview. Our minutes reflect that all their donation and fundraising money now is in the Ashland Historical Society 150th.
With the exception of the 15,000.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
So they can pay their day-to-day contractual obligations when it's feasible for them, because we only have 4 meetings before
Yeah.
the start of their week of festivities. So I just made that, this is, I guess you would consider
Yeah.
this a draft, how we
Okay.
could address it. Because we do remain the BOS, the fiduciary agents
Right.
of
Right.
the warrant.
Yeah.
I included the warrant line, so when they're
Okay.
ready to have the release of that funds, they have a formal written request.
Yep.
And it's processed with the town office, with the treasurer, and through the manifest. Other than that, they can confer with Charlie about any liability issues, about using town property. But this way, I could see Jane, Jane almost, she wasn't aware of some of these,
Yeah.
and some of it is our mistake too. Because they basically were kind of fallow until last fall.
Yeah.
And now that this is such an issue with 91A,
Yeah.
that this makes it much easier for them.
Yeah.
And going forward, probably after 4th of July, when they do their reorganization in August, we may
We
have to
should, yeah.
visit with that.
Yeah. Well, why don't we, take this home, read it, and
Yeah.
put it on
Okay.
the agenda
Agenda.
for the next meeting?
Because I
Yes.
believe,
Some time to
I
think about
believe
it.
Jane
Yeah.
is tentatively
Yeah.
on the agenda
Yeah.
for the 4th.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
can
Thank you,
present to
Kathleen.
them,
This-
so.
That'd be
I
good.
appreciate your thinking about this.
Charlie, the only thing that pops up to me, I'm reading here about the waivers, but also I'm wondering, can we just make sure that there would be no contracts that were written out or insurance policies that were covered under our umbrella?
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
do separate from us, that's my concern.
Yeah.
Well, right now, we don't know.
Yeah.
I know we don't know, but
Yeah.
CYA.
Yeah.
I know, and that was
Yeah.
my concern too.
Like I
with
said, this was
contracts,
just
so.
my,
Yep.
this is my draft,
Yep.
and this is, so
Right.
it's open to anybody's comment
Yep.
and
Okay.
anything else.
No, it's,
This
thank you,
is
Kathleen.
what I pulled together, and I want
Yep.
them to know that we're supportive of them.
Yes, of
That
course.
my whole point is to make this as easy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And we're asking a lot for these groups
Yeah.
to suddenly say, we know what we have to do.
Yeah.
If not, we have sources to
Yes,
check
yes.
on, we have a town administrator.
Yes.
And this does encumber them quite a bit.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
that's
Yeah,
that's
fine.
my opinion, so.
Okay, and yes, Kate,
Since Susan and I were the ones that started the 150 committee
Yeah.
back in 2013, I think it would behoove the Board of Selectmen to send a letter to the Ashland Historical Society.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we're really gonna cut the 150th loose, there could be legal implications
Yep.
for the Historical
Yeah.
Society
Yep.
that I don't think they've even contemplated.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
formed the committee originally to be under the town,
Yep.
as the town's
Right.
150th
That's
celebration.
what I'm saying.
The Historical Society was incredibly generous and kind to allow us to establish a bank account, because if we
I have
put it
that,
in
yeah,
the town,
yeah.
we would've lost the money.
well,
Right.
again,
So I
when
think
we
need to
discuss
tell them
this-
formally, so
Yeah.
they at least, they're gonna need some runway
no,
to talk to
exactly,
attorney.
and we'd
Yeah.
appreciate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that feedback within the
Yeah.
next couple
I
weeks.
do have that in my
before
draft.
we-
Yeah,
Yeah, we'd
so
certainly,
that they're notified
Yeah,
tonight,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they're gonna need a little time to, how
We
many
all
will
are.
they next meet?
yeah,
But those
Right.
monies aren't under our purview, so,
I understand.
yeah.
I understand.
yeah, so, give us your feedback, on all of these issues, and, we'll take it up at our next meeting.
Most of the other committees and commissions, their duties are defined by RSA.
Yeah.
They have, planning board and ZBA must have
Yeah.
rules of procedure.
Yeah,
So there's not this is almost like a management
Yeah.
issue.
and there's special events,
And
it's
there's
very
special
different
events,
from,
yes.
from
And
ongoing
this way-
committees. Yeah,
I don't believe, I could be wrong, I don't know if any of them were sworn in for 150th. There's no end date for their appointment. This allows them to continue fundraising after the activities.
We were supported.
you were,
You were,
Okay.
okay. After the last activity, they
Yeah.
continue their fundraising and manage it themselves, and the town doesn't have to have oversight of that.
okay,
Right.
all right, I'm sure, yes, David,
Well, the big question for the 150th, I think, was taking advantage of the town's liability
But
insurance.
this
Yes.
is why they would have to confer with Charlie.
Yeah.
right,
Right.
yeah, all those things we need to consider, yeah. Okay,
Martine?
I was just going to say, both of those committees do submit meeting postings to the
Yes, they
website, and they do
But we had
submit
to,
minutes.
yeah,
Yes,
we
they
had
do.
to, instruct them that.
Those-
that
But
these-
they're all
yeah.
set.
Yeah.
They do
But they
that.
Yeah,
have
they do
been, they
that.
have been
Yes, they have.
complying, yes.
okay. Any other old business? Okay, select board items. Town of Ashland Land Use Assistant Proposal.
Marty.
Mardine?
in your packet, you do have a proposal from the planning board and the zoning board to establish a position of land use board's assistant. I'll just summarize this a little bit for the sake of the public. We have in the past, I would say over at least the last 3 town administrators and the various configurations of select boards during that time, we have often discussed the need for some assistance for the land use boards. We've also put it through budget proposal process, and for various aspects it either has not followed through or has not been funded and so on. So there are several issues that we're dealing with that has prompted this. We often get applications that are incorrectly completed or not completed in their entirety. The land use assistant would be available to work with an applicant to take them through the application process, show them where different things are in the zoning regulations, building regulations, and any related materials. So they would do the preliminary meeting with a potential applicant. Another issue that we've had, obviously, is that incomplete information, which then it compounds the problem of following timelines. Timelines and process for planning board and zoning board especially are highly regulated by RSAs.
Right.
We do not have leeway in timelines. We do not have leeway in who gets notified when, and so on. And it's very regulated by RSAs. So having that person, that part-time person available to make sure that these applications come in ready to discuss and act on by the boards will keep us very legal in process and timeline. We frequently, either board chairs or members of both boards, frequently get phone calls or emails directly asking, I have this situation, what do you think I should do? And it has put us in a very awkward position, and probably not a very legal position, where we end up giving a potential applicant some advice one-on-one without it going through the board process in a public setting. And that is very, very, I'd say it's illegal. We have to be very open. All of the applications and discussions of applications have to happen as a whole board, decisions made as a whole board, not individually, one-on-one. So that position would prevent that kind of situation from happening. There are also a lot of our regulations that need to change as RSAs change, and this person can help us keep up with that. So for those types of issues that we have had, we are proposing a part-time land use assistant. It is not a planner, but it's just an assistant for 18 hours a month at $25 an hour. And you'll see at the bottom under fiscal impact, the first bullet has the total cost, which includes those wages, actually June through December, depends when it starts. It would be change the number slightly. We have figured the FICA and the Medicare cost also. Then under fiscal impact, under the second bullet, the total cost of $3,392, we have shown in the current budget where we can take that money from. Partially, there is a line in the budget already titled Land Use Part-Time Assistant. There's a small amount of money there that was left during the budget process.
Right.
The other parts of that total would come from land use general expenses and from land use legal. Neither of those lines would be depleted in their entirety. So there would still be sufficient money left. Under general expenses, the primary charges that are under general expenses right now are paying for the secretaries for the two boards that take minutes at the meetings. The legal expense, so far, we're doing fine this year. You never know, but we still have, this would still leave a portion of that account.
Okay.
Then attached, the second page is a brief job description. This has actually been developed over all these other attempts to get the position through over the years since we find several times. Job requirements at the bottom. So that's, job duties and job requirements are also listed. The third page is the current RSA. And you notice in the very first sentence of RSA 673:16, which is under the local land use board's chapter, general provision, staff and finances. The first sentence reads, each local land use board may appoint such employees as it deems necessary for its work, who shall be subject to the same employment rules as other corresponding civil employees of the municipality. We are asking permission or support or approval from the select board to advertise and hire this position.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
I think they made their case.
Yeah.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion to, let's see, how should we do this? Okay, to approve the position of Land Use Board Assistant to support the Planning Board and the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
With the monies to be, to come out of, as described in the proposal?
No.
No? Just the position at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
for clarification,
All right.
and I know that people cringe at the word transparency. We wouldn't expend it from 3 different lines.
Right.
It would hit just, we could just make it the
One line
land
would
use
be
admin-
overdrawn?
Yes.
Okay, one line would be overdrawn and
Just, yes, you draw from
Yeah.
one line, and
Okay.
then in the end,
Right.
you just
Okay.
gotta make sure the bottom line doesn't
Okay.
kind of go over.
Right.
Okay.
But it would not deplete the total available
Yeah,
for
it
land
won't.
use with any significant.
Yes, okay, yes, Susan?
Yeah, it's
I'd also
within
like
what's
to point
budgeted.
out that the application fees are a source of revenue that
Yes,
is
they are.
also supposed to cover
Right.
this whole process.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
That's right.
So there is revenue
So,
that
Yeah, so it's
okay,
not
so the
complete.
motion is just to approve the position as described. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the position of land use assistant, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Did you say no?
no.
Okay.
It helps the Conservation Commission too.
Okay, thank you, Mardine. Okay, citizen inquiry. We received an inquiry from Ann Richards, and she states, when I was at the library the other day, I asked if they had, quote, The Road Through Sandwich Notch, unquote, by Elizabeth Yates. The librarians checked and the library has the book, but it's locked away in a room upstairs that the librarians can't access. Would like to understand why there are books, not to mention whole rooms of the building, inaccessible to librarians and taxpayers. I mean, the issue about inaccessibility has to do with fire codes and safety. But Mardine, is there any, can you address the issue of accessibility for the public for these books?
For many years, that room, the room in question, it's the second floor of the library. It's a large room on the right-hand side at the top of the stairs. For many years, that room was open. It was used for a variety of things. It was used for maybe someone had to come in to do some tutoring, or a small group of patrons wanted to sit down and discuss a book. It was used for a variety of small activities. Also in that room is a whole wall full of part of the collection. Actually, 522 books. We pulled the records. Sarah printed out a whole list. There are 522 books in that room that are part of the cataloged library collection. They are in the online catalog. there's a prefix and a call number for all of those books, that with a letter U, that indicates upstairs. So that room was available up until 2013. At that, previous to that, there had been a life safety inspection of the building. There were a variety of meetings with library trustees, Scribner trustees, fire department, variety of meetings over the course of time that dealt with issues, one of which was life safety issues going up to the second floor. One of the recommendations was that the second floor could be accessible to the public. All they would need to do would be to install residential style sprinklers in the upper hallway and on the stairway coming down. So that was a recommendation. At one of the meetings, the library even offered to pay for it. At that time, back in 2013, I think it was all of $1,600. Over various meetings and communication between library and Scribner trustees, the offer was not accepted by the Scribner trustees. The room was locked for over a period of time. A variety of reasons were given, and I'm not. There is a whole thick binder of history of this whole relationship. So there are many details that are available. But in the end, that room was locked. We do not have access to it. We are not able to get any books out of that room. When a patron looks up something in the catalog and needs a book out of that room, our first thought is to contact the Scribner trustees to let us into the room so we can get that book and take it down.
Right.
And they would lock the room. Most of the time, we do not get a response. There was one time we did get a response, and they came in and opened up the door, but it was almost 2 weeks between the time the patron requested the material.
Wow.
So 99% of the time, it's much easier to go through interlibrary loan to get a book that we have in our collection, but we can't get out. That's the situation that happened here. The book that she was requesting by Elizabeth Yates. Elizabeth Yates is a New Hampshire author.
Yes.
Has written many books about New Hampshire. All of the books that we have in our collection are up in that room. A lot of the books are some of the older titles in the collection, so some may not be requested as often, but they are still standard parts of a library collection. And that's the situation that this patron ran into.
I have a copy of 2 letters that Chief Heath wrote to the Scribner trustees. Actually, one was to Paul Branscombe, our previous town administrator, and one went to the Scribner trustees. And it's basically a report of the inspection. It said, the issue appears to be that the Scribner trustees chose to limit public access to the second floor in lieu of installing sprinkler heads in the second floor hallway and stairway. A letter to the Scribner trustees dated January 22nd, 2012 cited financial issues as the reason for not being able to install sprinklers at that time, but left open the possibility that it could be done at some time in the future. On April 21st, 2012, we received a letter from the Scribner trustees stating they have the funds to install the sprinklers and requested a meeting with Deputy Joubert for clarification of the placement of the sprinklers. Deputy Joubert met with Tom Peters to iron out the details. This was the last correspondence from the Scribner trustees. It is our understanding that the sprinklers have not yet been installed. However, the trustees are still in compliance as long as the second floor is not being used for their meetings. And then there was a follow-up letter.
Come again?
Yeah, you heard me right. So on September 11th of that year, he wrote again to the Scribners, there were no issues noted other than a fire extinguisher currently located in stacks, which should be moved adjacent to the front door. They'd done that. It was also advised that the residential sprinkler heads had not yet been added to the second floor, and it remains closed to public assembly. I understand that 1 or 2 people are allowed to work on the second floor at a time. This is not an issue. However, public meetings are not allowed on this level until such time as the board decides to add the sprinklers.
The
So this
library-
is an ongoing
The library
issue.
does have access to 3 small rooms on the second floor.
Yep.
One has a lot of historical materials
Yep.
in, one is an office workspace, and another is a very tiny room, which is
Yep.
mostly storage.
Yeah, very tiny.
The room in question, though, is a large room on the
Yes.
side, which has part of our collection.
And that's where they
And
have their trustees
Yes.
meetings,
And
both
at the
Scribners
time-
and trustees of the trust.
At the time when they closed that room, and it is still a valid issue at this time, we do not have room downstairs to move 522 books downstairs.
Right.
We don't have any shelf space left.
Right.
And the
So they have to,
Man.
so,
And the town owns the building, and the town owns the collection within the building, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I
Yes,
s-
it's town
I
property.
see a greater problem here, Madam Chair. 91A.
You-
Okay, this
right.
meeting, these meetings are held in this room. We obviously don't have any of their meetings recorded, any of their minutes at the town hall, so I take it that these minutes are stored within this room,
No,
which
No,
is owned by
they
the
just got
town.
them.
They just.
Oh, they did
just
just,
send it.
okay, someone covered there, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
but still.
compliance, I guess I'm thinking of
There's-
that.
Well,
that-
there's still a
that line.
compliance issue in that they
Yeah.
hold their meetings there, and that's
Yeah.
not
But
a public
it's-
space.
and I agree there is a 91A compliance issue.
But this is different.
This
Yeah.
is a little different. This complaint
Yeah.
simply is addressing an issue
Yeah.
of being able to access materials
Right.
in the library.
Is there any proposal on the part of the library trustees on how we can fix this problem? I mean, we've got to fix this for more reasons than one.
Yeah.
So,
Even, I don't know.
okay.
I don't know. I think there probably has to be a discussion, whether there's a way for us when we need to get a book out of there and we can get it.
Yeah.
Could we have a joint
Exactly.
meeting with the library trustees and the Scribner trustees and the Board of Selectmen to discuss this?
We're open at any time.
That's good.
Yeah,
Charlie,
good.
could you set something
Sure.
up like that? I
That'd be
think it's
great.
way past time that we had that meeting.
Yes.
Do you have anything to add, David?
Yes, David,
No, just, I think our offer to build
is still good.
sprinklers is still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that
the cost
discussion
will be
at the
different,
time
but-
when they seemed to claim that they weren't allowed to accept donations. That was their argument at the time, but, maybe they will rethink it.
Well, isn't that right on that DRA updated paperwork we just reviewed that says that we voted to accept unanticipated funds and they
Yeah.
are a town entity, therefore they can accept
Yeah.
funds?
We need
right on the
legal, we
main list.
need
Let's sit
legal
down and
involvement in
hammer
this
this
as well,
out.
Charlie.
That's right.
We do need legal advice, because this is a mess. We need to fix it.
so I have to, this woman approached me at the dentist office and asked me, what can we do? And I told her that she could go onto the town website and download this form and fill it out. And so that was all I could do for her. And I'm glad
And that
she.
was the right-
And that was the right thing, and I'm glad
Yeah.
she took
Yeah.
advantage of it because we are now
Right.
discussing it, so the public knows
Yeah.
there is a value to doing this instead of
Yeah.
just,
Yes.
I mean, just complaining to somebody about
Right.
it.
So Charlie, if you could follow up with Ms. Richards and tell her that we have addressed it and we intend to pursue the issue.
Yes.
Okay, there is a
Any,
second,
particular day you might want to set up the meeting?
whenever you can get anybody there. I think you know our schedule. I think
Right.
you need to talk to the Scribners and the library trustees and
Yeah.
find out when this could be arranged, as soon as possible.
The best way to contact the library trustees is right through the library email address. Goes direct to Sarah.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Okay, we received a second citizen inquiry from Teja Singha Shivalingam, but given that I am a subject of the inquiry, I will have to recuse myself from the discussion.
And I'm another subject, and
And
I'm
I'm
going to
another
recuse myself
subject, and
from
I
the
will be
discussion.
recusing myself.
Wow.
Heavy is the head that wears the
Alright.
crown.
There you go, Harold.
Okay.
There you go, Harold.
Well, there's one of me, and any vote in this town requires a quorum of this board. And even if Mr. Casey is here, that would still be 2 out of 5. My math's not too sharp, but that's not 3. So I guess my concern, if you have anything to add to this, Charlie, is that even if we wanted to comply with this request, it is unlawful, and it's not backed by RSAs of the state constitution. We can't do anything about this if 3 of the people have to step away.
Yeah.
It's dead in the water. I mean,
Yeah.
there's great verbiage in here he spent some time putting together, but you couldn't do anything about it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
No.
I don't really have any comment myself. We can't censure the board, and it's up to them if they want to have a public apology. We can't force them to do anything that they don't want to do.
It's a democracy.
That's not gonna happen.
So,
You can't talk.
Oh.
Can't talk.
I'm talking to you.
all right.
Talking to you.
Oh gosh, now we'll be in trouble for.
I think that's all I have to speak
Okay.
of it.
Liaison reports, right?
Okay, I guess
Yeah.
the issues come to a close. Thank you, Harold, for taking over the meeting. Yes.
Entertaining
Before
or
we get
interesting?
Before we get to liaison reports, I just want to announce that the community garden is open again, and there is a sign up at the town hall if
Yep.
anybody would like a plot or two. Susan, you have anything else to say to that? We have
Yes,
already,
I have a question about
yes, ma'am.
if we have any counts for when I'm collecting money.
Well, Mr. Smith is working on that diligently, aren't you?
Diligently.
On trying to find out what our HEAL fund situation
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Because they will be collecting money for these plots, we need a place to put it. So I hope we can get some resolution for that, because we also have bicycle funds coming in and going out that need to be dealt with. So we would like a resolution to the HEAL budget. Okay. Now liaison
Okay.
reports. Lee, you want to start?
Sure, planning board meetings. Both times main discussion focused on writing and reviewing our ad for a lands board assistant, which we discussed tonight, to work for the planning and zoning boards. At present, applicants have little help making out forms or getting explanations as we have talked about. So we were going to be furthering that. We had a vote tonight, obviously, so we're going to be pursuing hiring a part-time assistant. Shelley Randall of Owl Brook Road came before the board, twice actually, for an informal discussion over a home occupation she wishes to have to hold yoga classes. The studio is in Ashland, her house is in Holderness, and a parking lot is in question, so the town of Holderness will be contacted by Randall and the board, which I think we have, but we haven't gone as far as to act on that yet. Other planning news is a wholesale gluten-free bakery is planning to locate in the building beside the post office where Adams' gym used to be. 51 Main Street has new owner, Mr. Edward Adamski, is being asked for a full site plan review. That's the building across from Surefine.
Hot Fellows building.
Right, and Judy Smith advised the board, she's in discussion to move the Stitchworks from that building, 51 Main Street, to mill number 3 on Winter Street.
Anything
That's
else,
it.
Lee? Right.
No, I will have a solar report at
Okay.
our next work session.
Okay. Comments were submitted to DES. That's the area of the golf course that's, it's on the back side where it's all kind of sandy and where the northern pass, the Eversource easement goes through. Water testing logistics were discussed. The team from Thornton North to Lincoln are no longer available. Then there was a lengthy discussion of draft wetlands rules relative to designated rivers, which the PEMI is one of them. Some confusion over the new terms, the descriptions, the overlapping areas, or not easily delineated areas of oversight. And then it was kind of the letdown of all the work they put into Northern Pass. They had to take a deep breath, and this has been the focus of this group
Yeah.
for quite a while. So
That's right.
that void will have to be
Lot of
filled
work.
in with, that's what it is. They all just kind of went, well, this is what drove us for so long, but
And a
now.
lot of work by this
Yeah.
board into that.
And but it looks like these DES rules are going to be taking up quite a bit of time because they're
Right.
just a very rough draft form. I attended the library trustees meeting last month. Updates were submitted by the library to the town administrator, which now it is part of his reports. Job descriptions and job titles were amended and accepted by vote. The salary schedule was also accepted by vote. The movie license was negotiated by the Assistant Library Director for a lower fee for the remaining year. Good job by Terry. Friends of the library voted to purchase a flat-screen TV for movie night to enhance viewing. They've been just using a computer monitor. And last month, they had 9 kids clustered
trying to
around
look at it.
Yeah.
watching a movie. So now they have the full movie license, so they'll be in full license and compliance.
Nice.
And they'll have a flat-screen TV. And a very nice person donated a DVD player, VHS player, which I
Wow.
delivered to the library.
Very
Thank you,
nice.
Katie. So,
Thank you, Katie.
yes, that was taken out of my hands very quickly.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, and a patron donated a copy of the DVD, The Beaumonts, to the library.
Yes.
Yay!
I was one of the first people that watched it. It's nothing like watching a vampire run at hyperspeed up the shop's driveway. Amongst other people that I could never look at in the same way again, that were featured in the movie. I also attended water and sewer. Utility partners tested wells for the renewal of the discharge permit as required by the EPA. DES was going to review the energy audit, discussion of the SCANDA contract. This is the technology that will monitor the equipment, such as the pumps at the water station and then the new septic receiving building. All the data will be recorded into a database as a component of the computer maintenance system. The old system is virtually obsolete, and new technology has to be integrated and updated often, and it's very expensive. It's a continuing discussion of the bypass system once the new building is being constructed. The bypass is for the grit and whatnot that will no longer be going into the old building, and they're still working out some of the logistics. The Heritage meeting was canceled because of the attendance by 3 of our members at the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance Award presentation. I have some stuff on the, from knowing the territory, but a lot of it we've touched on. But one thing that was interesting, the videos do not have to be retained. Only the minutes are considered the official recording
Right.
of the meeting.
Yeah.
They're not as entertaining, though.
And the other thing was housekeeping.
Yeah.
Review of sealed and non-sealed, non-publics, and that it seems like nobody raised their hand in the group. Was this done on a yearly basis by the towns? And
Oh.
I've heard there's boxes and boxes of them.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, we don't have
No.
boxes
No,
in any
no,
other
no, no.
towns. No, we
Yeah.
don't have boxes and boxes.
They've been reviewed.
They have
in
been
the past.
reviewed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last year,
Not
we
recently, but-
reviewed them.
Okay.
We
I
did
did-
review
okay.
some.
You
Yeah,
reviewed some.
we
sat
started
down with
doing
Patsy.
it year before, I think.
So that was, seems to be one of those things that fall through the cracks in
Yeah.
other towns. Okay. And all lease of real property, all the documentation of town assets need to be current. So if there's leases out there, they should be current, and
Yeah.
that's part of the housekeeping.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Thank you, Kathleen. Carol?
I have 3. Conservation Commission, we had our last meeting in April. Unfortunately, we no longer have a quorum as of April 30th, so anybody out there in TV land looking to join the Conservation Commission, we're
It's an
looking forward to
important
some,
board.
it
would be
is.
really,
Please
really
It is.
volunteer.
If you were against
Yeah.
Northern Pass, we were an intervener. We could really use some members, and we're also looking forward to working with SLA in the future. They have a lot of good projects going on over there, and we need more members to be part of it. The 4th of July Committee, fundraising is moving along well. All the bands are booked, all of the parade details are ironed out. The church will be coming down again this year to preparing food, that all of the funds will go back into towards the 4th of July project. It's a good group of people there. They're working good together. I'm really surprised how many people have kind of come out of the woodwork. You know, it's a good, solid group of folks there.
Good.
On the Budget Committee, they reorganized. We now have Jeanette Stewart as chair again. We have David Rule as vice chair. And new position this year, Sherry Downing is now a correspondence secretary. We have a correspondence secretary now. So that's pretty interesting. We're still waiting for one elected official to come forward to be sworn in. Ginger Grant, if you're out there, we're looking for you. Besides that, we voted to receive the financial statements when they're issued to the Board of Select so that we can forecast expenditures and therefore kind of have our head behind the whole budget so that we're not asking in the 11th hour, what was this for, what was that for? We can forecast some of the budgets and be more streamlined with BOS.
How many positions are still vacant on the budget committee at this point?
Is
Harold?
it 2, David? I do believe it's 2.
Well, it depends on whether you're counting Ginger Grant.
Yeah, it's 1 without Ginger, correct?
Okay.
One without Ginger Grant,
Yep.
there's no.
Did she
Okay.
have a time frame she was supposed to be sworn in by? No?
Oh, there is no time.
No, there is
Okay.
not.
Yeah,
That's why I told her we were looking for
it should be.
Yeah.
But that committee resets next election.
Yeah,
It does.
yeah, it
It
does.
does.
Okay, anything else, Harold?
No, ma'am?
Any other comments before I open it up to the public?
No?
Anything from the public? Yes, Mardine?
I'm just gonna piggyback on Harold's request for members of the Conservation Commission. Also, the Planning Board
Yes.
and the Zoning Board.
Yes.
Both
Yep.
desperately need,
Yeah.
all three of these
Yes.
committees desperately need
Right.
members. And they need members that will be active, come in, pick up the pace real
Yeah.
fast. We felt all three committees have a lot of work to do.
I mean, I've already commented on the importance of the Conservation Commission. I mean, they've been great partners over the last few years,
Yeah.
have done a lot of work. But given that we're focusing on economic development, we desperately need the planning and zoning boards to be fully functional. It's an
Yeah.
incredibly important
And it's legal.
business in this
It's the law.
town. And, you know, we want to continue the good works that have been done. So I urge anybody who has any interest or willingness to serve, we'd welcome you with open arms to come and join our.
Both the Planning Board and the
Yes.
Zoning Board are close to not having quorum.
Yes, I
Yeah,
understand
we
that.
can't, there's only
And what
3 of us and we cannot,
Yeah.
one of us
Yeah,
cannot
right.
be sick or absent.
And I don't believe ZBA has a quorum at this point, do they? So,
No.
we must have a ZBA. I mean, by law, we must have a ZBA.
Right.
So please, folks, help us out.
Can you guys maybe provide for the folks out there, let's just talk to them maybe, what does the planning board and zoning board do? Instead of, we need volunteers.
Yeah, no, that's
Maybe
good.
there's some people out there that are willing, that don't have an understanding the
Yeah.
type of work that you guys.
The Planning Board I can speak to probably better. The town has zoning regulations. And any applications that relate to those zoning regulations must come through the Planning Board. Whether it could be a site plan review, it could be a home occupation approval, it could be a variety of things. Change of use in a piece of property, especially commercial properties. All of those have to go through a process, as I said earlier, that is dictated very closely by RSAs. So we have to accept applications in a certain process. The site plan review process is detailed in our zoning regulations. The zones are detailed, what's allowed in different zones. Then if there is, then shifting over to the zoning board is an appeals board. So if something, and again, I'm talking in very simple level. If something at the planning board is turned down and somebody wants to appeal it, it goes to the zoning board. If somebody wants to do something on a piece of property that's not allowed within the zoning regulations, they have to go to the zoning board for either a special exception or variance. So both of those boards are needed. They work in conjunction with the zoning regulations that the voters have passed in town.
Now, you would say probably good reason is for the health and safety of our town.
Yes, yes, and orderly development.
Yes.
The members of the planning board, we would love someone, ideally it would be great to have someone that's had some land use experience, maybe in another town, but you don't need to have that experience, but just an understanding that there are both local town rules and state RSAs that must be followed. It is a very ordered process.
Right.
And the same thing with the zoning board. So that's the type of person we need, that's interested in orderly decision-making.
Yeah.
Very
But
orderly decision-making.
I'm sorry, the planning board is also responsible for the master plan.
Yes.
Which
Right.
is really the
Yes.
guideline for our whole
Yes.
town,
Yes.
and that's an extremely important document. And I editorialized
That's
that
true.
this town has, I've heard the rumors that we're not business friendly. I have been associated with the planning board before I ever got on this committee. I was a member, I was an alternate, I've been an ex officio. And the planning boards that I have been associated with have worked very closely with businesses to
Right.
help them, meet their needs and get the
Right.
information they need. So, again, economic development is this town's future. And
Right.
without a really good planning board and a zoning board, we're gonna be in big trouble.
Yeah, and I've been on a planning board myself, and it's kind of fun.
It
you
is
know?
fun.
You see these new businesses come into town, and
Yeah.
you see them develop, and the different land use that you're a part of. I mean, you're really a part of something.
Yes,
Yeah, I was just
definitely.
gonna say, that was one of the first committees I was ever on in the 80s, and I'm on it now, and I would have to say, it really is fun, because you get to see all the new businesses who are coming into town before anybody else does.
Yeah.
And you get to talk about signs and stuff, and it really is, it's a fun committee.
Yes, Kate?
The planning board meets twice a month. It meets the first and fourth Wednesday of the month at 6:30. The zoning board typically would meet once a month, although there are times if they don't have a case, they may decide not
Yeah.
to meet.
Don't do it.
That's a little more, but they do have a regular meeting date when they schedule.
Right.
Is it the second
Yeah.
Thursday?
Yeah.
of the month?
Yes, Katie?
And how much time would be required of me if I was going to join one of these two boards?
She just said it.
Okay,
Total time.
planning board, as I said, meets twice a month.
Right, how much
We
time?
probably, our meetings may be an hour and a half to 2
They're
hours
not-
long.
They're not that long.
The biggest prep, I would say, is to become familiar with the zoning regulations
Yes.
and the building regulations and the forms that we use.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and the
would be
cases
the
on the
biggest-
agenda,
the
because we
biggest
follow
thing.
cases.
Yeah, and
We
doing
follow
some
those.
research on them.
So-
What would be the average amount of hours we'd be asking someone to volunteer a month to be an active member of an active and effective member of the planning board?
Well, primarily the meeting time.
Yep, I'd say
Yeah.
4 to 5,
Yeah.
10 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
10 hours a month.
Yeah.
then
And
what would it be
CBA
for
would
zoning?
be somewhat less, yes?
Quite a bit
Depends on the
less.
load.
Zoning would be less.
Yeah, because you don't have the
We
cases.
generally, last year we had 2 cases the entire year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Depending upon, and that all depends on what happens. A few years ago, we had a development that came in, that wanted to come in for Soldier On.
oh, yeah.
That took much more time, involved a large legal process,
Yeah,
and it required more meetings than
usual,
usual.
yeah.
But we have staff now to help.
yes, we have staff now to help, right?
Well,
We will have
that
staff now to help.
staff cannot take the place of the
No,
board.
they can't.
Oh, no, oh, no.
Yes, but
Yes,
some of
Susan.
the background assistance, getting things ready
Yeah.
to come to the board.
It'd make the planning board's
Yes,
job
yes.
easier.
The other thing that I want to point out is, I made reference to the fact that the zoning board is the board of appeals. So if
Yes.
something is denied
Right,
at the planning board, it jumps over
goes.
to the zoning board.
Yep.
Right now, there is not a quorum for the zoning board. If we turned around this week's meeting or next week's meeting and all of a sudden had something that was going to go to the planning board,
The
the
zoning,
board,
yeah.
somebody's going to have to find members for the zoning board.
Yeah.
Because again, you've got timelines that you have to
Yes.
meet.
yeah.
And that's really critical.
Susan had her hand up.
Yes, I know, Susan?
I just want to put a comment on the ZBA is that you make all your decisions based on the set 5 criteria that is in, again, the RSA specifies.
Yes.
And
Yes.
some of them are like, what is substantial justice?
Yeah.
You have questions like that. So what I found interesting about the ZBA is that you end up reading a lot of court cases to see interpretations of how those kind of decisions are viewed. So
Yeah.
if you're fascinated with that kind of stuff, I mean, that's really really what the ZBA does.
Yeah.
It's a quasi judicial where it looks at either something that was denied for one reason or another,
Right.
or specifically denied because it did not fit all of the criteria within the zoning
Right.
ordinance.
Yeah.
It needed some flexibility to be able to happen.
Yeah.
Yep,
So how
that's right.
big is the impact of the zoning and the planning board on the health and future of our town?
Extremely important.
yes.
Extremely important. I could not, give it enough emphasis.
Right.
I see that-
Yes.
If a town voted to disband a planning board, within 2 years, you don't have any zoning, because you cannot have zoning without a planning.
That's
board.
right.
Yeah, and then chaos ensues,
And
just
that's
saying.
right.
Yes, and I
That's when you
can,
end up with
Yeah.
living in a nice rural residential in your house in a quiet neighborhood, and
Yeah.
then you can have a racetrack next door.
Yeah.
because
That's right.
there's no zoning.
and
Exactly.
these are some of the problems that were brought up at knowing the territory, and it was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine how these towns deal
I know.
with these without having the zoning.
I know.
And actually, the man sitting next to me from Molten Borough envied
Yeah.
Ashland because we had affordable housing and a water and sewer.
Yes,
Yeah.
and now we're getting beautiful sidewalks and lots of good things are happening in town. We need these
right.
boards. Yes, Mardine?
Just one comment. I know we've talked a lot about the planning board and zoning board, but I know, Harold, you mentioned lack of a quorum with the conservation
Yes.
commission.
Yeah.
You've got things that you also deal with that are controlled by RSA.
Absolutely.
So you
Yeah.
have things.
Yeah.
And with these new draft DES rules, some of them address conservations
Yep.
once again being,
More for conservation.
having to sign off on permits. That
Lots.
kind of fell off the way. That
Yep.
was, when I first joined conservation back in the 90s, Conservation Commission had to sign off on every waterfront permit
Yep.
as it was sent to DES.
Yeah.
So you did usually every Saturday during, probably from March to November, or even December, Saturday mornings were taken up with site reviews. They pulled back on that, and now it appears that they want to put this back into effect.
Yeah.
That the Conservation Commissions, they know the territory, they know the water bodies or wetlands that are affected, and DES wants to have them included in the process again. Back in the 90s, even a driveway culvert had to be signed off by the
Yeah.
Conservation Commission
I
in
mean-
order.
And again, in Ashland, we are blessed with waterfront
Yeah.
and forest and all the things that we want to protect, so.
And so if you're interested in just that, just site
Yeah.
reviewing, talking of, if you're not interested in lakes,
Yeah.
there's wetlands, there's
Yeah.
all sorts of aspects. It's another quasi land use committee. Your duties are defined by RSA, so you know what's expected of you. You have your duties laid out, they're spelled out for you, and you meet nice people.
Well,
And-
I guess if I were to segue into this at all, as far as this whole thought process of
Yeah.
people volunteering, I'm seeing that, like there was in the 4th of July committee, there seems to be a greater changing of the guard per se, and that we really,
Yeah.
we need people to come forward
Yeah.
in the same form that they did for the other committees and the other groups,
Yep.
and take a hold of it and volunteer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
We
we'd
really
love
do.
to see new faces. We'd love to see new faces.
Yeah, you do. It's a good way to meet
Yeah.
people in town.
Yeah.
You get to meet new people. You can learn all sorts of things, and you can be involved in
And it's your
something.
town. You can help protect and make your town
When you
work.
look back, there were only 3 of us on the Conservation Commission, yet we managed to have gained intervenor status
Yeah.
in the Northern Pass
Yeah.
process. We were the only body enabled by RSA to review the wetlands, the shoreline, and the alteration of terrain permits. We won't go down that road because we were deeply disappointed by how DES handled them, but you do
whatever. Yeah.
have very important duties.
Yeah,
And,
So stop gabbing in the background and jump in.
yeah. Thank you, Katie. Thank you for that. Last.
thank you for the marketing.
Okay, in that case, I don't believe we have any non-public, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Make that.
adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.